Good evening and welcome to Satsang TV with Premananda. So the next chance to join us in a retreat will be the Whitsun retreat from the 18th to the 20th of May. And for more information about that, you can go to premanandasatsang.org. From the 1st of June, a new community will be starting near Kiev in Ukraine. Open Sky House Tripolia. You can find a website about that on the Russian page of premanandasatsang.org. If you'd like to come through tonight on Skype, you're very welcome. The address is Premananda Satsang TV. If you would like not to be filmed, then you can write us a message beforehand. We will just record your audio. Please remember to use a headset with a microphone and to turn down the volume on Make TV. And you're very welcome to come and visit us in the Open Sky House as a volunteer, to live and work with us and to meet Premananda more closely. Thank you.
Welcome to Satsang. We'll start with some jokes. Jesus sits down one day and considers the high rate of drug use that will follow long after his time on earth. He thinks it's a bit hypocritical of him to condemn them without first trying them himself. So he sends his apostles out to see what drugs they can find. A couple of days later, Jesus hears a knock at the door. Who is it? Paul. Jesus opens the door. What did you bring, Paul? Hashish from Morocco. A few minutes later, there's a second knock. Who is it? It's Mark. Jesus opens the door. What did you bring, Mark? Cocaine from Colombia. Another knock. Who is it? It's Matthew. Jesus opens the door. What did you bring, Matthew? Heroin from Afghanistan. This continues for a while until eventually there's a 12th knock on the door. Who is it? It's Judas. What did you bring, Judas? The police. A wife asks her husband, could you please go shopping and buy 1 carton of milk? And if they have eggs, get 6. A short time later, the husband comes back with 6 cartons of milk. The wife asks him, why in the world did you buy 6 cartons of milk? He replied, they had eggs. Jack wakes up with a horrible hangover and is a throbbing black eye. The first thing he sees is a rose on the side table and a loving note from his wife. Dear Jack, breakfast is made. I've gone shopping to make you your favorite dinner tonight. I love you. He stumbles to the kitchen, and sure enough, there's breakfast. Johnny, he says to his son, what happened last night? You came home totally smashed and got that black eye by tripping over a chair. So why the rose, the breakfast, and the sweet note from your mother? Oh, that. Mum dragged you to the bedroom, and when she tried to take off your clothes, you screamed, leave me alone, I'm married. Is that 3 jokes? So tonight is a particularly interesting moment because it's exactly the 1-year anniversary of Lakshmi's Satori. Exactly the 10th of May tonight, and it was the 10th of May last year when she had her Satori in our main office. And some of you may know that out of that experience we made this film, which is also called Satori. It's called Satori, Metamorphosis of an Awakening. So first of all, I would like to say that we're using this word Satori, a Japanese word. We're using it in the context of self-realization or awakening. Sometimes this word is used in the context of a glimpse of awakening or glimpse of truth. But as far as we can understand, Satori is in fact used correctly as self-realization. And it's particularly used by the Zen Buddhists. They talk about Satori. But here in the West, we tended to use it as a glimpse that then goes away. because it's rather common that people have an opening, they consider themselves awake, they consider themselves maybe enlightened, and then sometime later, then it fades, and they have a terrible feeling of having lost their awakening or lost their Satori. And I'd like just to read one definition of Satori. Satori is the sudden flashing into consciousness of a new truth. The world appears as if dressed in a new garment. And I find that a very beautiful and very simple definition of Satori. So something happens very suddenly in a certain moment. And after this moment, there is a complete shift. So suddenly, after that moment, there's no longer the attachment to a separate somebody, to the ego. There's no longer a sense of us being somebody who is doing my life. So just from one moment to the other, there's a complete shift, you see. So in that sense, we can say it takes no time at all. Of course, there's in fact some kind of preparation, which can take many years. And when we dialogue with, when I dialogue in a minute together with Lakshmi, then she will probably tell us that, you know, something had been happening gradually over some period of time. So in that sense, time is involved in the preparation. We could call it the clearing away, you know, clearing away some of the rubbish. But in the final moment when, there, if you like, there's a breakthrough, that's instantaneous. And in this case, it happened in our main office in a very ordinary way, with Lakshmi sitting typing an email. And then something started to happen energetically to her arms, so she couldn't write anymore, and she could barely sit on the chair anymore. There was a lot of energy moving through her body. She called for help, and one of the people in the office happened to have an iPhone, and so we have some footage of the early moments of this Satori, which were taken on an iPhone. So due to this iPhone, we were able to make this film Satori, because as you'll see, the early moments are very dramatic. After some time, when we got Lakshmi onto a mattress on the floor of the office, we brought another video camera, and then we have a regular video footage of what happened over the next 3 hours. So in the full-length film, you can see the best bits of what happened to her over a 3-hour period. It was from roughly 9 o'clock in the evening until midnight when we put her to bed. So it's kind of a dramatic movie, and I think it's quite a rare movie because I've experienced a number of people having this Satori, but I never had a video camera in my pocket, so it was never any question to record what happened. So this was really a stroke of luck, and the film has got some very beautiful reviews, and in the beginning we were almost a little afraid to put this material out into the world because we felt maybe it was too strong, too powerful. But since we put it out, the film is on public distribution. It's on Amazon, it's on iTunes, you can buy it from our own website. We found that, in fact, people were very touched because they'd never seen something like this. So they've heard about Satori, they've heard about enlightenment, they've heard about awakening, but they've never really understood what it really means. And so this film gives you a chance to really come into an intimate contact with what can also happen to you. You see, it can happen to anybody. So now I would like to show you the trailer, which is up on YouTube. There's a 5-minute trailer which introduces this film, and after that I'll invite Lakshmi to come and talk to me.
On the evening of the 10th of May 2012, Lakshmi was typing an email in the community office when she experienced an overwhelmingly strong energy moving through her body. Later, it became clear that what had happened was a moment of self-realization, awakening, enlightenment, or Satori. Satori refers to the perception of the Buddha nature, or emptiness, in contrast to a brief glimpse or a first insight. Satori is considered to be a lasting realization of the nature of existence.
When I was sitting in this first spiritual meeting with the teacher, I felt an enormous inner connection. I came more and more to his meetings and his retreats, which were held in the Open Sky House near Cologne, and I decided after some time to move into the Open Sky House. So I'm living here now since 4 years, along with 20 residents. Since I have met him, I had strong openings where a lot of energy was filling my body, and I experienced a very, very deep peace and contentment.
Throughout the film, her teacher Premananda comments on the steps she is going through. During his 15 years as a teacher, he has worked with many people. And for the last 7 years, he has worked intimately with people in a community.
There was some kind of very strong energetic phenomena happening to her, with her, which we can call a Satori.
I mean, looking backwards, I would say it started somewhere when we were out.
In the afternoon already.
I felt already this enormous energy in the eyes. Yeah, it was like, and then my hands started to. A lot of energy came in my arms, and I started cramping. I couldn't write anymore.
It was very clear during this whole film that she didn't do anything. There was a body, and something happened. A huge energy phenomena is happening.
I had the feeling I was very much supported, and it was really, really beautiful. What do we think? Yeah, we think it's all happening like we think it's happening. Yeah, but we don't know anything. Yeah? And that makes it so clear that suddenly it's this energy sort of like choom, going into your body, yeah? And you don't have any control. Yeah, what is it?
So we've had 1 or 2 beautiful reviews. There's one here from Rivola Summer. Incredible and wonderful. I was looking for such a thing for a long time. Everybody is just talking about it. But here, it's for the first time I could really see it. I've seen the whole movie. Just wow. This is a must-watch if you're really interested in freedom. The real mystery about that film is, for me, that if you're watching it, something is happening. At least every time I was watching it, something happened to me. Very powerful, honest, and beyond words. So I'd like to invite Lakshmi. So I don't really know how to start. Is there something that you would like to share, if you would feel how things are for you right now, in this moment?
Nothing special, really.
I mean, I think, basically since a year now, I've had pretty much daily contact with you. And one of the things that has really touched me is that during this whole year, when it was clear that, something very strong happened in the beginning of the year, and gradually you could say it was less strong, but it was clear that this thing was continuing. It was clear that there was an opening. But you, in the same time, managed to stay in the world and manage our community. And that's not so obvious to people, that you can actually, after maybe some initial period of time, I think it was a week or two, you were not functioning so well. You needed more time to be quiet. But more or less for the whole year, you've been able to function, and you've been able to function so well that you actually manage this rather difficult, chaotic community. And of course, people are very lucky to have somebody who is not really getting caught up managing things. So would you like to say something about that?
I mean, I think the really nice thing is the feeling that it's just happening, yeah? I mean, it's just happening. It feels much lighter, yeah? There's sort of a lightness. I mean, I wouldn't have said that before I felt heavy, yeah? I never would have said this, yeah? It also felt light before, but now it feels much lighter, yeah? You don't know before.
Right. And in this, the daily life of a community is often kind of demanding moments here or there. And you find that you can function well?
Yeah, I mean, the difficulties with the functioning were, as you said, at the beginning, yeah? So that was difficult, yeah? But after some time, I mean, it became easier. It became easier than before, yeah? That because somehow it's light, yeah? Somehow it just happens, yeah? So
you actually are saying that it's easier to function now than it was when you were attached to your illusion.
Yeah, somehow it's easier. I mean, before it was more sometimes sort of inner, I have to do it, yeah? Some kind of probably stress or contraction, yeah? Some effort. And this is hardly there or not there or hardly there anymore. Yeah? It doesn't mean that there are not situations I perhaps don't like, but it doesn't matter, yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't matter if I like it or not like it, yeah. And it happens. I mean, that is the perception. I mean, there were some moments where I could perceive it very strongly afterwards, yeah. That it's things are just happening. It was especially when we were in India, yeah. There were some things which I saw, and I thought, do I get involved? And I didn't want to get involved, yeah, because I knew what trouble it would mean, yeah, when I start poking my finger there, yeah. So I was not really keen in getting involved there. I didn't want to poke my finger, yeah. But then I did, and it was really funny to see that it just happened, yeah. And I could more or less watch myself doing it, yeah, and yeah, against my ideas, more or less, yeah, against my ideas of. So
it's like your mind is telling you one thing, but what you can observe is that the entity is functioning in another way anyway.
Yes, it's functioning another way anyway. Yeah. It becomes very clear, yeah, that it's happening anyway. It doesn't matter what you think or your opinion about it. It completely doesn't matter. Yeah, it just anyway goes on. Yeah.
So you're approaching the crossroads, and you have the idea. Oh, I think I'll turn left, and suddenly you're aware of the car going off to the right.
Yeah, something else. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And being quite relaxed about it, yeah?
Yes. I think that's probably the difference, yeah, that perhaps before there come doubts, oh, I want to go left, yeah, so now I go right, oh my God, what am I doing, or something.
Yeah.
But,
So in a way, one might say that you take life as it comes, from moment to moment, without judgments about it should be like this or it should be like that.
Yes, without judgment, and also I think in the daily work of the community there is more trust that it all comes to you in the right moment. Yeah? I think that's a difference which makes it lighter. I think before I always had the feeling, oh my God, yeah, I must sort of figure it out, remember it all, and God, yeah, how can I remember all these little things, yeah, and my memory definitely doesn't get better, yeah. So, but somehow there is trust that it comes in the right moment, yeah, and it often does, yeah. Usually it does, yeah.
So when you say it comes, so that in any moment you somehow know what to do, you know what to say, you know how to manage the situation, without any pre-planning or any pre-thought about it. It just evolves.
Yeah, or yeah. Yeah, I mean there are many little things, yeah. But I mean it always looks. That's one funny thing. I can see that. I mean we always think it's on the outside, yeah. I mean that's. Yeah, that we always have the feeling it's on the outside, yeah? Sort of, often I have this thing about forgetting things, yeah? Suddenly a seminar group calls, yeah? And they say, next weekend when we come, and I completely had forgotten them, yeah? But they call and say, oh, when we come next weekend we want, and then, oh my God, yeah, they're coming, yeah? But very often these things happen, very, very often, yeah? So, yeah, it's sort of all taken care of, yeah? Yeah.
Who by?
Yeah, who by?
So you don't really have any problems in your life anymore.
No, the thing is, you don't see them as problems, really. Yeah. So I mean, there haven't been problems in the last year. I mean, you never know how it's. I wouldn't say there will never be any problems. Yeah. But definitely in the last year. Not really, no.
So this gives you a lot of inner peace in your daily, your daylight hours, so to speak. Can we say that this gives you a lot of peace?
Yeah, I think the peace is more. I recognize it because before, I mean, when I was quiet or had quite a sort of life in a slower pace, I always felt peaceful since a long time, yeah. I felt very peaceful inside. But it's interesting if there are really hot moments, yeah, really moments where a lot of things come, or stressful moments, or stress over a long time, or a lot of things over a long time, or stuff which is demanding or unexpected, and that the peace is still there. Yeah? This is especially at the beginning, there were situations where I was very surprised, yeah, that I just nothing really happened. Huh?
Is there anything else that you feel is particularly different from how it was before a year ago? If you remember how Lakshmi functioned in the world before and now, I mean, is there something else that stands out?
I don't know, usually it's fun every day.
Yeah.
I think it's more, yeah. I mean, I quite enjoyed life before, but I think it's really more, yeah. I think it's feeling a bit like on a big playground. Yeah.
So this Indian word leela means playfulness. That you understand that now, maybe in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit, I mean, I said it, I think, in the film, yeah, because I experienced this very much on stage when I was playing theatre, yeah. So I experienced this non-doing, yeah, that it just played through me, yeah, very strongly, and watching myself what I was doing on stage, yeah. I always enjoyed this, and always, yeah, and I had this inner wish even before I met you or had anything to do with spirituality. I always thought, I really wish that my life would be like this, yeah. I really wish like this, when I did the theatre workshops, yeah, or this moments on stage, that I could extend it into the whole life, yeah. And now it is more or less like this. Yeah.
So you can see life a bit like a stage with the actors seriously playing their roles, yeah. And you, because you're not attached to your role anymore, you can have simply fun with the whole thing, yeah?
Yeah, and everything is there. It's not that it's always sort of fun. It's everything is included, yeah? Sometimes you get angry, yeah? Sometimes you get impatient, yeah? Sometimes you get this, sometimes this, like on stage, yeah?
Right.
So,
and you don't have inside any idea about you should be like this and you shouldn't be like that.
No. I think the judgments, that's definitely also a thing, yeah? The judgments about myself, yeah? And then, of course, about the others, yeah? It's definitely less.
I mean, you mentioned anger, for example, yeah? A lot of people have an idea that somehow anger is not really right and anger is not really very spiritual, yeah? But you don't have that.
But I think with anger, I didn't have it before. Yeah. I quite always enjoyed becoming angry. But I think I had a judgment definitely with impatience.
Yeah,
Impatience.
Yeah, right.
Impatience.
Yeah. But you should be patient somehow.
Yes, and also other people.
Right.
I don't tell who.
I'm very patient with all you guys. I mean, come on. Right. Yeah. I mean, I find this interesting, you see, because, again, spiritual people, they have some kind of their own morality about, thou shalt not get angry, thou shalt not be impatient, thou shalt... they have a sort of list of things, You should stick your nose in the air and be very quiet and look serious, or something. But would you say after, when you would look back in a year, that actually it just includes everything as it comes, yeah? You would never imagine yourself to be living in a spiritual way or having a spiritual expression to life, yeah? Life becomes actually very ordinary.
Well, yeah, I mean, I never had the spiritual because I have not been so much in the spiritual scene, yeah, and only 4 years or 5 years ago I discovered this world, yeah, so I don't have so much judgments or ideas about this, yeah. So I know that people have, but I think I never But I mean, the thing is, life. There's nothing which is really different. Yeah, it's just that the energy is more. More. At the still place. Yeah, the energy is just always at the still place. Yeah. I mean, and everybody knows the still place. I knew it before. Yeah? It's not that it hasn't been there before. Yeah? But somehow before, the energy left sometimes the still place, yeah? And sort of wanders out in the world or whatever. Yeah? And now it's really, and it got more, I would say, it's a bit like that, I don't know, every cell gets affected, yeah, more and it stays stronger there, yeah. And it's nothing what we don't know, yeah. It's nothing what we don't know. It's just, I mean, in the what the daily life and the functioning, yeah, concerns, yeah. But the energy stays at this place. It just stays there. It doesn't move away anymore, yeah. And then all this destruction and attachments start, yeah. Should it be like this or this, and the judgments, yeah. Yeah, it's like a lake, yeah. It's a bit like a calm lake, yeah. Before it's a bit more like a fountain, yeah. Always somewhere whoop, else, and now it's just like a lake. Mm.
You said there were one or two little things. Can you give us a few examples of little things that you've noticed?
One or two little things.
You were talking about some little things which may be a bit different from before, or little things that particularly give a particular example of what you're talking about.
Well, one example was when I said, yeah, when you were in India and this situation where I didn't want to poke my finger in something, and
right.
I did it, yeah, and with all the consequences which then happened. Yeah. So, I don't know, there are more examples.
I can remember, for example, in my book, Puppetry Amazing Grace, when I interviewed different people I met in Lucknow who'd had this Satori. And I remember one guy particularly who was saying that now when he's sitting on his scooter and there's a big dirty Indian truck in front of him belching out smoke from the exhaust, he can sit on his scooter and it doesn't affect him. You know, it's just like one more element of everything else, you know. I mean, one of the things that's changed in the last year, I could say, is that you're already conducting theatre workshops, and now I think you've got a second workshop running, and perhaps you've been drawn more into this, offering these workshops, and perhaps you're able to conduct the workshop a bit differently now. Maybe you have a more penetrating understanding of what's going on with the people than you had before. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, I think there is more clearness, but also I think one thing is that I value it more myself, yeah. So I think that's a big difference, because basically the theatre and also conducting theatre workshop was always about truth, yeah. It was always about truth, but I
get a microphone ready.
But I didn't know this, yeah. I didn't know really. Yeah, but now it sort of all came together, yeah, and it's much more clear, really, what I'm doing there. I think that's a very big difference. That now I sort of know what I'm doing. I never knew really what I was doing there. Yeah, I liked it, I enjoyed it, and I had strong energy doing it. Yeah, I had a proper training for doing it. It just sort of happened, and I put a lot of energy towards it, but I never knew really why, yeah? And what's happening there. Yeah? So, and I think this really changed. Yeah? I don't know what's happening there.
So well, first of all, I'd like to make a little advertisement. Tuesday night in the Open Sky House, theatre workshop with Lakshmi every week.
Everybody welcome, beginners, advanced,
Right.
everybody.
If you happen to live in Munster, we have a couple of guests from Munster. Then it's Friday night every other week. And I mean, I know that people are very touched from these workshops. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that's kind of interesting for me sitting here now with you is that, you know, if you were sitting here with a huge story, you know, what your mother did to you and what your grandmother did to you and how your first husband was killed, unfortunately, in a car crash, and, you know, you've had a very unhappy life, and, you know, you'd be telling this huge story to me, yeah? You probably could go on and on with this story, you know, people do, you know. But when you've got something to talk about like truth, it's actually quite hard to talk about it, yeah? It's hard to find things to talk about. Because in some ways, it's clear from what you were just saying that basically you feel very peaceful, you feel the energy at this still place. You realize that, you know, life is just a theatre, it's just a movie, it's not very serious, you know, you can play with it, yeah? So sitting here, you feel such a good, contented feeling of well-being that actually it's even hard to talk. Is that right? Do you feel it like that?
Yeah, there's not a lot really to say, yeah. It's very nice just sitting here. And looking at the people.
It's just like it's nice as it is, you know. Being alive is already a lot, yeah? It's already a lot to be alive. Yeah? Don't have to do anything. And I think for me this was a very big change, because somehow I was one of these do kind of people, yeah? And I was always doing all this stuff in order to get something, yeah? I was wanting to be happy, get happiness or something, you know? Whatever it was, yeah? And not to have to do anything and just realize I'm already happy. It's a very funny feeling. I mean, I still feel sometimes very funny about this. You know, for example, I go in a shop and buy something, and the guy says, "Have a nice day," you know, and immediately I go, "I have a nice day every day. I mean, I'm always having a nice day," you know. It's like, you know, things like that don't make sense anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I try to remember what the things were, why before I was not happy, yeah? I can't really, I think, like, I know at the beginning, yeah, when I came to Satsang, also at the beginning when I came in the house, yeah, there were sort of in Satsang, it was not always peaceful, yeah? I think there were probably judgments, yeah? Judgments about things. But I find it very hard to remember, I must say, yeah? I find it very hard to remember, yeah? I mean, the only thing I remember clearly is my favorite attachment. This drama with my daughter in the puberty, yeah? This I remember really clearly, yeah?
And has that relationship with your daughter changed in the last year, would you say?
Yes, it has changed.
I mean, it's been changing anyway, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, there I find it a bit difficult to say. It's also the age, yeah. And she moved out, yeah. So I mean, this changes, of course, a lot, yeah. But I think, I mean, she says it has changed, yeah. And she feels I changed.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Does she have any what does she say about you now?
How does she see you've changed?
Well, she says I'm much younger.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you also look much younger, actually. Yeah. I mean, I can say, as I meet you almost every day, I can say that, you know, the overwhelming impression is somebody who is easy, yeah? Like we have to manage sometimes a bit difficult situations, and there are certain things you're not particularly expert at.
No.
Like, you know,
Several.
2 and 2 is 5.
Yes.
Or something. You know, you're not a hot mathematician, and I mean, certain things you're not particularly, you know, you don't function particularly well. But actually, I find working along with you is always very easy because it's like becomes spontaneous. Yeah, we don't have to really even talk about things. Yeah, we can just sit in a situation and get a solution very easily. And if it can't be this way, then we are quite happy to accept it in another way. It's not really, both of us are not really attached to any particular outcome, you could say. I mean, you tend to go out into the wider society more than I do, probably, or have more contact with the society than I do. You work in old people's homes, you give your workshop in the society and so on. I mean, are you more aware now of how the majority of human beings are living?
I mean, there are two sides there. One side is a very nice side, yeah, because I mean, today I can see that which situations or people, there were always quite a lot of people where I somehow was innerly scared, yeah, or somehow, I don't know, I didn't know what to do, or yeah, I think there was a certain being scared, yeah.
Like sitting in front of a camera and talking about yourself?
No, not sitting in front of a camera.
You didn't have a problem with that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it happened before.
Okay.
Well, actually talking, yes, it happened always. Before my theater class does a performance, I always have to make, because I'm the teacher, I have to make this little entrance speech, and I always hated it. I never was relaxed with it. No, but I mean, well, like these people we met in the last days, yeah?
Oh, for the apartment?
Yes, for example, yeah.
Right.
I mean, this kind of people always, they are nice people in a way, yeah, but there's something, I mean, basically they are so mindy, yeah, that something in me was really scared, yeah, and now I can see that they are just mindy, yeah. So it's a real relief, yeah. It's in a lot of ways a real relief, yeah. Now I can see, oh, they're just mindy, and it's like they are okay, yeah. But before it was there was something which scared me inside, yeah. So and this really makes it much easier now, yeah? Much easier.
So you can kind of enjoy the caricature. Like we went to see an apartment for rent, and as Lakshmi is saying, the man was very nice, very friendly. You know, everything was very ship-shape, clean. You know, lovely. Everything was in place. And when we sat down to discuss about the costs if we would rent this place, he knew, for example, that next year the insurance would go up by €3, which is not, of course, something that we're really caring much about, and we would never know that, you see. But he knew exactly that, and you realized as he was talking that his mind was like that, you know, click, 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 click. And out of all that, of course, we decided that although the apartment was rather nice, we wouldn't want to live next door to him. Not that we wouldn't like him or something, but we just would realize that he wouldn't like us after a few months. And, you know, with a mind like that, you can cause a lot of trouble, you see.
Yeah, I mean, this is really also some inner sort of peace, yeah, that, you know, it's just the mind, yeah, you know, and sometimes you get through it, yeah. You have a meeting sort of which is very nice, yeah, and sometimes not, yeah, and it's also okay, yeah? but knowing this, I mean, this, it's a real relief. Yeah, it's a real relief. And the other thing is also, I mean.
Actually, you need to find yourself a good assistant. That's what I discovered. That, I mean, basically for the last years, I've managed to deal with the society by having an assistant. And having this assistant between me and the society means that I don't have to directly impinge on this sort of mindy, very structured mind, which is, actually I can easily get really pissed off, actually, to be honest. I can get very easily pissed off, like crazy pissed off. I mean, this other man we met, I mean, after listening to him dribbling on for an hour, I mean, I was ready to jump in the river.
Well, you didn't even understand. He was speaking German. It was me who I had to
didn't have to understand what he was saying. It was so amazingly horrible. I mean, I just feel compassion because this man, he's a perfectly nice, ordinary man, he's not a bad person. He's 80 years old, he spent 65 years running a boat club, and that brings you into a certain kind of mindset, And, well, I know I can't deal with that anymore. So I need an assistant who can kind of speak for me, So I've had Lakshmi, but I don't know who you've got. You have to find somebody else. You'll definitely need an assistant for certain situations.
I'm quite prepared through my clown's job, so.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, at the beginning I was saying that we're using the word Satori as meeting the self, self-realization. Mm-hmm. And some people use it in the context of a glimpse, if you like, of truth. Mm-hmm. And I mean, over the years I've met quite a lot of people who've come to these meetings and they've had in the past some kind of Satori. Mm. They've had some kind of glimpse, glimpse. But it wasn't really a Satori because some months later, a few hours later, maybe even years later, the thing has dropped away and they've been back identified with a separate somebody. Mm. And that is one of the common stories from people who come to meetings like this, that very often the people sitting in these meetings are people who had such a glimpse, and for whatever reason they lost contact to this glimpse, and then still it's working inside, you can say, it's still having some effect inside them. So they can't really fall back into the old way, but equally they haven't really got free of their separate structure, the separate me. They're still attached, or they've become attached again, you can say. So, I mean, this is why this anniversary now is 1 year. I think it was after about 7 or 8 months we decided to release the film because we all felt that there was no signs of you losing contact. And so now today is exactly 1 year, your first anniversary. You're 1 year old now. I mean, this is also very interesting because in the film, Lakshmi actually talks about it feeling like a rebirth, or even a birth. She's in the beginning, it was like a birth. So, I mean, we can say you're 1 year old now. So, I mean, is there any sign that you're getting attached again?
No. Not at all. I have the feeling it's the other. I mean, it gets more and more light, really.
So your sense is that whatever might have been left, you feel those things are falling away too. And so this pool of stillness that you talked about becomes more dominant, you can say. You're more identified with this pool of stillness than with any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
But you're not doing anything.
No.
You're just aware of that.
Yeah, it's a bit like it really gets more. That's sort of the inner picture. Yeah, it sings more or rieseln. Was heißt rieseln? Or sings or
Sings?
more in every cell. Yeah, it's a bit more the feeling that it or penetrates every cell. Or how you can say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would say it gets stronger or clearer or calmer or however you would say it. More. No. Yeah, it's a bit like, it's in the morning I just wake up and have so much fun. Yeah? It's just like sort of like, even sometimes when I'm tired, yeah, it's still like this, a bit like a child, yeah, this joy coming in every cell of the body, yeah. So.
I went to, with the two kids, I went to the fun fair yesterday in the village, a small fun fair. And they had one of these dodgems, where they have these little cars that go round and round, and bump into each other. These two kids, they could have spent, 5 days there bumping each other. It was like, give me more, give me, you buy some coins, and they...
Auto scooter.
Yeah. And somehow that's also how I perceive my life. It's fun. It's only fun.
And you don't have to do anything with it, yeah? I think before I also had a lot of fun in my life, but it was when this feeling of joy was there. Often I had the feeling, wow, I need to do something, yeah? With this joy, yeah, somehow. And now it's more sort of subtle, yeah? Sort of quiet joy. It comes like, or it's there, not it doesn't come, it's there, you wake up, it's there, but it's no need to, whatever, yeah, jump out of the bed and start being joyful or something. Yeah? It's just nice that it's there, yeah? in a quiet way. Yeah? So, and so everything. So many little things are more intensive. Yeah, many. Tiny little things, I don't know. Things which are not especially exciting or not even especially beautiful, yeah? Just go to your car in the morning and there's a puddle with a stone in and it's sort of like, wow, yeah? Very and, like this, yeah? Nothing... But little things at a petrol station, some writing, everything can be so nice sometimes. Yeah, it's and it's difficult to share. Yeah, you don't share this with them. Say, hey, look at this writing at the petrol station. Isn't this? Don't do this. Yeah, it's very nice. Very.
So, what would you say to these people who are sitting here listening to this?
What I would say to them?
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to say to them about this? Because, in the daily work of our community, for example, sometimes things get quite intense. Sometimes there's a feeling that it's too much, I'd like to run away, something like this, yeah? And you're making it sound very, very easy, and also you're making it sound pretty amazing. I think you're not making it going like, it's not wow, it's amazing, but I think what you talk about when you talk about this stillness inside, yeah, and that you wake up with this feeling of joy, and life becomes like a play, like an adventure, Leela. That's pretty attractive, actually. Yeah. So, what would you say to these people who are listening to you?
I don't know really what to say. What can I say? It's all not true, yeah? So enjoy. Yeah.
When you say it's
Don't
not
worry,
all true,
yeah.
you mean that the movie that they think they're playing in, which they can get very serious about, is not true.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, when I look, I mean, it's, yes, Santosh, for example. Yeah. I mean, from the outside, it's very difficult. I mean, I talk to him, yeah, it's very difficult to see, yeah. I mean, there's everything perfect there, yeah. Very nice guy, very good looking, yeah, he can do a lot of things, yeah.
Right.
Everything, and it's very difficult to understand where sometimes the misery comes from, yeah.
Yeah. Why would he be attached to all that misery when everything is perfect, you know? It's almost impossible to imagine that somebody would choose that when they could be waking up in the morning in this joy that you talk about. Yeah?
Yeah, but I also know times when I had a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, I also know the stacking in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so do I, of course.
So.
I mean, I think what's maybe the most important thing about tonight is that, you know, excuse me, but, you know, Lakshmi is an ordinary person, you know. She's not like a superstar. She's not a, you know, a very rich person, successful in the world. She's not a Hollywood queen of films and, you know. She's just a regular guy, you know, just like you and me. We're all like regular guys, yeah. So if it can happen to Lakshmi, why it wouldn't happen to you, right? There's no reason, you know. You don't have to be a Buddha. You become a Buddha, but you don't have to be a Buddha. It's like going to a doctor and being already perfect before you go there, you know. And he asks you, well, what's wrong? You say, oh, my health's really excellent, you know. I mean, we can all come to this awakening, you see. We can all live in this freedom. And in the end, it seems to me, from years of meeting people, having meetings like this, it seems to me that in a way, it completely depends on your own inner priority. You see, if your inner priority is to eat ice cream, you'll become a great eater of ice cream, you know. If your interest is to have a girlfriend, then you'll have lots of girlfriends, you know. And if your priority is to become free, why you wouldn't become free? Do you agree with that?
Yes, I mean, I can see now more than before that I always had this priority. And when I met you, I mean, it was completely clear that this was a priority. Yeah? I mean, it was like a relief and orientation, and but also, I mean, do we choose this? Yeah, it's what I also. I mean, yeah, do we choose? Do we have any chance? Yeah, is it a choice? Yeah. So in the time when I met you, also I discovered independently from meeting you meditation and yoga. Yeah? And then for 2 years I did every day yoga and meditation. Yeah? I enjoyed it so much. Yeah? After I sat on this cushion the first time, it was like, oh, you know, I cried for 1 week every day on this cushion, yeah? Because it was so beautiful, so beautiful. Yeah? So I had to do it every day. Yeah? I just had to do it once or twice a day. Yeah? So I was really unhappy if I couldn't, yeah. And the same with the yoga, yeah. So I've never thought I would do yoga, and then because I met you in this yoga school, yeah. I thought, oh, perhaps the insurance pays for it, yeah. I'm 40 something, I get a bit old, yeah. Perhaps I do a bit for my body. And then I did this yoga lesson, and the first lesson was so amazing, yeah. Like I fell in such a stillness, yeah, that I carried on doing it, and I did it then also every day, yeah, for 2 years, yeah. So, but I mean, it was not a decision. It was not that I thought, now I do yoga, yeah, every day. It just happened. It happened, and now I can see, looking backwards, that I got a great benefit from this, yeah, from this meditation and silent sitting. I still don't know what the difference is. Sitting on this cushion and yoga. And I came, I mean, as soon as I met you, I sort of came here, I think, to every retreat, yeah, and to every Sangha group, yeah. And every time, when I had times on Monday, I also came, yeah. But, I don't know, I didn't decide this, yeah, it just happened. It just happened. So, I mean, on one hand you can do, but on the other hand, I think it happens or doesn't happen, yeah?
So there's this very famous story, about the king, yeah? And this king was getting old, and he was a bit tired of running this kingdom. So he decided that he announced to the whole population of his kingdom that on a certain date there would be a huge party at his palace, and everybody was invited. And when you came to this party in the palace, the king was sitting quietly in some inner room, and he'd announced that the first person that came to this king sitting in his inner room, he would give that man his whole kingdom, you see. Anyway, there was a big party, beautiful food, music, entertainment, gorgeous singers, the whole thing was a kind of lavish feast, yeah. And after a few hours, nobody had approached the king. You see, he was still sitting quietly inside the palace. So he called, his prime minister or somebody, and he asked the prime minister, I'm sitting here, I've invited my whole kingdom to come here tonight, and I'm ready to give to the first man the kingdom. You see? What happened? You see? What happened? And the prime minister says, well, they're enjoying the food, They're,
and the girls and the music and everything.
Yeah, and then of course the boys are chasing all the girls, and they're enjoying the music, and they've completely forgotten about the whole kingdom being available, you see. And this is a very kind of ancient story, and of course this illustrates beautifully why this doesn't happen to you, because we get caught up in the less essentials, you see. And also, you see, what you were saying about coming across meditation and yoga and trying it out and it being so lovely, you had to do it every day for 2 years, you see. I mean, some people try meditation or try yoga and they don't like it, and then they stop.
I mean, with this meditation, it was after this theater workshop, which took place in a sort of Buddhist center. I thought, somehow I have to do something, so I bought this meditation cushion and I thought, I meditate, that's what Buddhists do, yeah. completely innocent in a way, yeah. I didn't know really. So, and I got a book out of the library, meditation, yeah. It was far too complicated for me. But there was one sentence, couldn't read it, that was too complicated. But one sentence, I just said, close your eyes and follow your breathing, yeah. So and that was what I did. I said, okay, I understand this, I can do this, yeah. So I sat on this cushion, closed my eyes, and followed, and it was so beautiful. I thought, why never anybody told me to close my eyes, yeah, and follow my breathing, just look inside, yeah. I never did before, yeah. So it was so beautiful, yeah. It was amazing. I was so touched, yeah. And then I cried, really, I don't know for long, but at least for a week, perhaps 2 weeks, yeah. I always had to cry, tears just were running, yeah. It was like, wow, yeah. Wow. Amazing, yeah. Really amazing. So simple, yeah.
So could we say that if anybody sitting here would like to ask you, how can I become free, you would tell them, buy a cushion?
I don't know. I think it's different probably for everybody.
Different for everybody. Yeah. I mean, people are, of course, always wanting a method. Yeah? They always want to. They want to have some kind of technique, and this technique, if they do it every day, that will bring them to freedom.
Yeah, I don't know about the things. I mean, I completely don't know about the things. I only can tell from my own experience, but what I can see, I think it's different for everybody. I mean, I see there are many people around, what you say, yeah, they do their exercises for years and years, but it's not about the exercise, yeah. Sometimes an exercise can help, sometimes it can be a hindrance, yeah. So, I think it's very different for everybody. So, I mean, I think I was very lucky, yeah? I was very lucky. I often say to these young people here in the community, I say, boy, you are lucky, yeah? You're so lucky, yeah? Coming here with the beginning of 20 or middle of 20, it's amazing, yeah? Amazing, yeah? So, I mean, I was already 40-something, yeah, when I discovered this, yeah? And I still feel enormously lucky, yeah? That I could still run around blind, banging from one lantern to the other.
Right. I mean, I think one of the things that's actually quite interesting in the context of this Satori is how few people are interested. You know, I mean, all of you guys sitting here, of course, I would say I'm pretty sure you're all interested, yeah. But of course, this room is quite a small room, and there aren't that many people here. I mean, if there's any football match tonight, there'll be 60,000 people screaming for their football team. Yeah, they're very hot and passionate about it. Yeah, 60,000 people easily come and watch these kind of matches, even 90,000. And here, we're probably about 30 people or something. So it's like, why so few people are interested? And why nobody ever says, sit on the cushion and watch your breathing? You know? It could be taught to little children. You know? In fact, it ought to be taught to little children. It's something that the school should teach. It's so simple. Well, that's about it, I think. What shall we do? Have you got a microphone? Good boy. Anybody like to ask Lakshmi a question? Amrit will rush over with a microphone for you. Put the second camera, or third camera onto her. The third camera, yeah? 1 second. Wait until she's got the camera on. Is it on?
To put myself online now, yeah? Okay. Oh la la. Okay. Okay. Yes, we were once talking and you told me something about like an energy connection that you have with Premananda. It was something you tried to explain to me how it's kind of what effect it has on you when you are together with him. And yes, I found this very touching. Maybe you try one more time. I know it was not easy, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is really something people don't talk a lot about, yeah? Or I don't know if it's not so often so experienced. it was especially, I mean, it's not so strong perhaps in the last year, yeah, but it was very strong before that, well, perhaps not always, but many, many times there was a strong energy flow, yeah. Like, I mean, I several times told the situation when we were in Crimea and drove together in the car, yeah. So we were just sitting in the car, people were driving us to a place to look for the next year, nothing special. Pramananda was busy on his iPad, laptop, yeah, playing, and I just was sitting there, and it was, I mean, it's very difficult to say, but an enormous energy, it felt like an energy transmission actually, yeah, something. And I had this, well, quite a lot with you, yeah? Quite a lot. Yeah? That when I was in your presence, yeah, like in the car, or when we were at the hospital, for some time we spent quite a lot of time in the hospital, there was a strong energy thing going on. Yeah? I never knew what it was, but it was really strong. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is, I mean, it's often said about the teacher, yeah, there's this polishing and this grinding what the teacher does, yeah, he's polishing and bringing up all the diamond, yeah, polishing the diamond, but also sort of grinding the diamond, yeah. But I also had the feeling there's also a third thing which for me was very important, and this was this just being in your presence, being close to you, yeah. I could feel this very I think after I moved in the house and we had the first contact, probably with this hospital story, I could feel this, so I was very keen to spend as much...
yeah, I was always surprised that whenever I had to go to... what was the reason I had to go to... Oh, I know, I had a...
bum operation.
I had an abscess on my bum, and so after they'd done a big dressing, I had to go every 2 days or something to have a new dressing. And Lakshmi was always wanting to take me there, and I was a bit surprised. Why is she so keen to drive me to the hospital? But she was having a kind of darshan, you know,
yes,
in the hospital.
Sitting in this hospital corridors, in the long corridors, on these metal chairs, yeah, and just sitting there and...
I mean, this is not so easy to talk about, but I can remember for myself, you know, when I was living with Papaji, particularly on a Sunday morning, it was possible just to go to his house. He had a very small house with a small living room, and he would sit at a table, and very often he would even be watching television. You know, particularly if there was cricket, he'd be watching cricket on the television, and around him on the floor would be 30 people all kind of packed in like this, completely uncomfortable, you know. You couldn't even move your arm. And on top of that, it would be very, very hot, and they would often turn off the air conditioning because the air conditioning machine was so noisy. And so you'd be sitting there and sweat would be pouring down and you couldn't move anything, and you'd be completely in bliss. And he'd be watching television. He wasn't like talking to you or anything, you see. And I would come out of the house like, wow, and it was like, pfft. And so at some point, it was very clear to me that this personal contact, close contact, it's like a gift, you could say. It's like a gift. And as I say, Papaji was watching television maybe, so it wasn't like he was doing something. And at the end of his life, he was telling everybody, he was telling somebody that at the end of his life, he realized the only important thing was that he would bring his body to the meeting. And he said that if he came to the meeting, and if somebody in the room was ready, there would be a kind of arcing of energy between that person and his energy. But his energy was not his, if you understand. So what Lakshmi is talking about when we're sitting, say, in the hospital waiting room, it's not like my energy, it's just energy. So it's almost like this entity called Pramananda is a kind of channel for a lot of energy. Yeah? And because she herself was sensitive and quiet and understanding about that energy, she could get the benefit of connecting to that energy. And anybody can, you know, but she was sensitive to to be able to do that. And I think that's actually something that's very hard to talk about, and not something I would particularly talk about without Tara's question. But actually it's a vital part of awakening. And so, for example, I'm about to start a new community now in the Ukraine, because in the last 3 years I met a very beautiful group of people there. So by making this community, what I'm really offering them is not some super special teachings. For that they can read the books. I'm offering them this chance of being in this energy field, you see. Because when I'm there, they'll be living with me, and so they have all kind of opportunities to go for a walk with me, or just sit in the hospital with me, or sit in the sunshine with me, you see. And in a way, nothing is happening. There's no technique, you see. And this is, it's nice that we've had a chance to talk about this, I think. And those of you who visit our community sometimes, you can find this energy field that we're talking about. You can find it now in the whole of our community. Because it's not just because of Premananda. It's Premananda plus all the other people who are somehow connected to Premananda in a heartful, with a heartful connection, you can say, something like that. So it's like we create together this Buddha field. Osho used to talk about a Buddha field, you know. I wouldn't use that term. I would talk more about a certain presence or certain loving energy in our community here. And often when people first come here, they talk about that. Because when you first come, you're coming from a different energy. You can notice the difference. When you live a longer time here, you take it for granted. You don't notice it. But this is why, for me, it's such a value to live in this community, because you have a constant well of this energy on which you can be supported. You see, you can be supported as you stumble along in your own darkness to become free. You see, does that make sense? Something like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see if anybody else would like to ask something. You put the camera on him. You can stand up maybe.
How do you see or perceive other people now?
How do you mean this? How do you perceive them?
Yeah, like, I mean, in terms of this, like, oneness thing. Is enough? You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, I mean, from where you talk, I mean, there are no really other people, yeah? That's the thing.
I mean, this is something that's very, very funny, you see. So I was saying earlier, this split happens from one moment to the next, yeah? So one moment before, the world is full of people, you know? And 1 minute later, there's no people, you see. Of course, there is still, you know, mind-body organisms or entities, whatever you want to call them. But all this personality and all this, it's just like Lakshmi was saying earlier, it's just like players on a stage, you see, with the different roles in the play, yeah. So as she says, there isn't anybody. And when you go deeper into this, there isn't anybody. You discover that actually there isn't anything. And that everything we apparently are perceiving in the world, which is out there, is all actually in here. So this is like a third level of what is the absolute truth, you can say. So this is also a very funny thing. I mean, I can say I've had a bit longer than Lakshmi to fall into that, yeah? And this is a very, very funny thing because, of course, people are very, very serious about all their personal stuff, you know. Like, I don't want to be on the television, right? And I'm like, who doesn't want to be on the television? There isn't anybody, you know. So we're all so serious about our theatre roles, you see. But from the point that Lakshmi is talking now, or the point where I'm talking now, you can only laugh, you see. But of course you don't laugh because you're not very, can't be a well-behaved person if you start laughing at everybody. So you have to just take everybody sort of seriously.
Did this answer your question?
Okay, another question. You get out of the way, Tara. Tara, you're in the way.
What I could feel since that happened to you, I always had a good connection to you, but since that happened, I could feel that when I sit next to you, like when we have lunch or something, that I become quiet. And it was always with Pramananda also. So in the silent dinner room, I always choose mostly to sit next to Pramananda. So it's a little bit similar than you said, but not like energy. It's more I can connect to my inner something, and I get quiet. I can immediately feel when I be with you, and I sit somewhere in the gallery or so, and I recognized it when it happened to you. Then I saw, it's the same than with Pramananda. When I sit next to Pramananda, I also start to calm down and really to connect more to myself. That's what I recognized. And after this happened to you, I could feel, it's the same. So this is the one part. And the other part is that you got very impatient with me. Really immediately when I come mindy, I boom, boom, boom. And I appreciate this on one way. When first I get upset and then I can see, yes. It is, there you got very impatient with that. No? Before you were, I don't know, it was not like that. This I could see it during the year now. There's no possibility to deal with you minding, I can say. So,
yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's nice is with you that you really, I mean, it just happens, yeah? It's not that I'm suddenly against somebody, yeah? But I also can see this, yeah, that it happens, yeah? When, I don't know, yeah? When things get very mindy and probably also when there's a possibility, I would say, yeah? It's not always when things get mindy, yeah? It's probably the mixture, I would say, because I really can observe it with you, yeah? When there's also perhaps something which is open in you, yeah, that I get very impatient or very strong, yeah, very strong, yeah. Surprises myself sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know this, of course, very well. Sometimes I just want to shake the person, you know, like shake out all this nonsense, you know. It's very difficult sometimes to be patient over a longer time because, I mean, something that's quite important, I think. I mean, what you're sharing is actually very beautiful, yeah, that you work together a lot with Lakshmi and you have this possibility like going to the hospital, you know. And what I would say to everybody else, if you're all the time caught up with your structures, you know, with your me, where is the space to kind of plug into this subtle energy field, you see? Where is the space inside you? You're so busy with, Daddy said this and Mummy said that, and oh, I'm a poor little boy. So somehow you have to be aware that you're sabotaging so much by holding on to all that, you see. You're sabotaging so much.
Well, and the thing is, we want to experience something new, yeah? We want to experience something beyond, yeah? But the mind can't go there, yeah? And that is the thing which, I mean, I often see that people want something beyond, yeah? Not you're looking at me. Something definitely for you, yeah? But somehow you don't want to go over your mind, yeah? But you want to experience something beyond, which you never can figure out with your mind, yeah? You only can figure it out if you just jump, yeah? If you do something even, it feels stupid, yeah? Or it feels unreasonable, or, yeah? There's trust, yeah? It's really trust needed, yeah? But if you always try to be in control, yeah, and try to do it like your mind is saying, oh, this feels good, this feels bad, yeah, this feels nice, it doesn't feel right, yeah, it's, I mean, I really like this example of this floor we did Easter, I don't know how many years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, yeah. I mean, if I would have, with my mind, I never would have done it, yeah. I was the leader of this action building, this new floor. Pramanandi made me to the leader of this construction group, yeah. And it was such a mad action, yeah. I mean, if my mind would have said, yeah, it's completely stupid, yeah. But I trusted him. I just trusted, yeah. And I was keen when I came here. I had the feeling that for myself, I have done so many work. I came to my limits, really, yeah. That it needed somebody like him, yeah, to bring me over my limits, yeah. So I was ready to do stupid things, yeah, or things my mind would say they're stupid, yeah. So when this action here, I mean, it was hilarious. I mean, you were also involved, yeah, or you got involved after some time. I mean, everybody got involved after some time. It was, and it all had to be ready by, I think, Friday. It was impossible. It was completely impossible that this could be, yeah. But somehow, I mean, I just trusted his finger, yeah? What you say, this I find a good example from the finger of the master, yeah? I just, yeah, trusted. And sometimes it was not easy, it was like, what? Yeah, oh my God, yeah. But I, bong, 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 I just kept on, yeah? Kept on doing and finding my way. And a lot happened there, yeah? This Easter, a lot happened, yeah? Whatever happened, yeah, but it brought me beyond, yeah. It brought me out of my own limits, yeah. But only because I trusted and didn't listen to my judgments, yeah. I didn't listen to my judgments, yeah. This is completely crazy, yeah. This is too much, yeah. I haven't slept since 2 nights, yeah. Sort of, I just didn't listen, yeah. I just didn't listen. And this is something which brought me beyond, yeah. I mean, it was not the only time, but I think it was the first strong time, yeah? The first strong time. And, I mean, we have these opportunities here in the community, and the only advice I can give, don't listen to your mind, yeah? Who is saying this is stupid, there is a better way, yeah? I haven't slept, I want it different, yeah? Just trust and do it, yeah? I mean, what can you lose? Yeah? So, and something happens, definitely something happens, yeah? Because then you can come beyond. If you have all this stuff, you can't come beyond, yeah? Because it's your mind. And don't take it so serious, that's the thing, yeah? Don't take it serious. Yeah?
I mean, the whole effort, you see, as a teacher, is to throw into the nicely oiled wheels a bit of sand, you know, or even a whole big chunk of metal into the thing, you see. You see, it's never my intention to put more oil on everything, you know. That's not the way I function. And I was very happy, the other day I was reading about George Gurdjieff, because he started a community in south of Paris in about 1920. So that's 90 years ago, and he ended up having a lot of intellectual people living in this community. And anyway, it was a chateau with a lot of land around. And these very intellectual people, he would, like a Harley Street doctor, a famous magazine writer, these kind of people, you see. And he would have them out in the property, and they would spend the day digging trenches in the ground, you see. You can imagine them sweating away digging this trench, and they haven't used their hands maybe in years, you see. And then when Gurdjieff would have time, he'd come and see how they're getting on with these diggings. He'd say, "Oh, very good. Now fill it up." You know, you see. And this is a brilliant example of how the master works, because you see, by telling them to fill it up, it breaks something in their mind. You know, because intellectual people, they're used to doing things to achieve something. Right? So to have to fill up the hole that you've just spent 3 days digging with a great deal of effort, right? It completely pisses you off, you know. It completely pisses off your mind. Your mind can't deal with that really, right? And then, of course, if you're an intellectual people, you hardly are aware of your body. So doing this heavy digging is also bringing you in more of a relationship to your body. So two things, you see. And apparently everybody, when they came to this community, almost everybody in the beginning was sent to dig, you see. You see, and of course you can imagine these famous people, very spiritual people, philosophers, blah, 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 right? They come to this Institute for the Harmonious Development of Mankind, right? To this strange mystic master, right? Of course they have all kinds of ideas about, you know, the great teachings that they're going to get, you see. And then they spend months digging holes, you see. It drives them crazy. It drives them potty, you see. We're doing one now in the courtyard. So the technique that everybody wants, you know, tell me how I can become enlightened. What is the best technique? The best technique is no technique, you see. Sit on, buy a cushion. Watch your breathing, you see. That's actually very good advice, you see. It's kind of simple. Everybody can do it. And if you're lucky, that will have a profound effect on your life, you see. Something as simple as that.
Yeah, and if you then find somebody, yeah, I mean, if you are already here, yeah, or if you find another teacher, I mean, then it's also easy, yeah. You just need to trust and follow, yeah. I mean, you need to follow, and this needs trust, yeah. But then, I mean, it's also not a question really what to do, yeah. I mean, then you are there, and then.
Yeah, but you see, what Lakshmi is telling you is absolutely true, you see. Absolutely true. Papaji, when he's talking about these things, he used to say that as soon as you find your master, your work is finished. And after that, it's up to the master, you see. And of course, it's not just up to the master. You have to surrender and you have to trust the master. So, of course, if the master tells you, go and dig this trench, and then he comes and tells you to fill it in 3 days later, and then he asks you to dig another trench, I'm sorry, that was the wrong place, can you dig another one over here? You know, you see? You have to trust that there's some reason behind that, you see? Because if you try to figure it out yourself, you're not going to figure it out. Because, of course, it's just crazy to be digging trenches, you see, in one way of it. So if you use your mind, constantly using your mind, you're wasting your time with the master. So the fastest route, if you want a method, is that you buy a cushion, you sit on the cushion, you look inside, yeah, you become quiet, and then just by itself you will discover a master. You see? You don't have to have even the intention in a conscious way.
Like Günther, yeah?
Yeah, like our friend
Günther, really, yeah?
Yes, our friend Günther, exactly like that, you see. He had, last winter, he had a kind of situation where he was very much quiet and alone in his house deep in the countryside. And somehow he started reaching out through the internet, and he came across Premananda's website. Then he found the Satsang TV archive, and he started watching these meetings, you see. And gradually he was pulled closer and closer. He's been here now a few times, and now he plans to come and live here. You see. And he can't not come and live here. I mean, to be honest, what I can never understand is that when people finally stumble on the goods, why they don't pack up and come tomorrow, you know? But of course they want to experience their minds, the suffering of their minds for a bit longer, you know? So it's all right, you know, I can just laugh and think, well, okay, have another few months of suffering, it's no problem, you know? Because nothing's happening, you see. All these things you think is happening, which are very, very important and very, very real, they're not happening. It's just an illusion. See? And of course you can't make yourself trust somebody. Yeah? So our friend Shiva is our well-known rock of... non-trusting rock, you see. He believes in his mind. He absolutely 100% believes in his mind. So that brings him into terrible, difficult situations in this community. You see, and he goes into what we call it the box, you know.
The safe box.
He's got a kind of special energetic box around him, you know. Nothing can come through this box, you see. He sits there for a few hours, sometimes for a few days. Sometimes he packs his stuff and is going to leave, and then, you know. And he can't somehow see that it's just a joke, you see. There's no box. What he believes himself to be is just not true, you see. And unfortunately, the sabotage is that until you can trust, you won't see that for yourself, you see. And of course, it's very important to have your own experience, yeah? This kind of glimpse, which we could call sort of mini Satori, you know, this mini Satori or glimpse is very, very important, because when that starts happening to you, then it's easier to trust, probably. But it can't happen with you and me, because you're always avoiding me, see? And I've learned to keep well away from you, because if I get close to you, you're always so resistant that I can't stand it. You've got no idea, for an open, free person who comes close to you when you're in your box, it's painful, physically painful. You see. I'm not blaming you, of course. So, you know, it's of course true that you can't do something, but if you have more awareness, there are certain things maybe you will stop doing just because you realize it's not really serving you. Once you see it's not serving you, why do you keep doing it? You know? So if you see this, and that's why, for example, in our community we have this buddy system, because often the thing you have to see, you can't see. It's like a blank, you know, it's like something you can't really see about yourself. So you need somebody on the outside to give you a mirror, to be a mirror. Hence the buddy system. Do you have a buddy? No, you don't even have a buddy. He doesn't have a buddy because he doesn't want to be reflected, you see. Because he's taking it as a judgment about himself, you see. But this buddy system is very, very beautiful if you understand what it's about, because this is not a judgment anymore, you know. It's a chance to understand. It's a chance to understand. And if you don't operate with this buddy system, you're just you're just sabotaging your possibilities in this community. I've said this many times, of course. I have to say. That's about it, I think. Any other questions? Anything else you'd like to... Okay, thank you. Thank you.